This conference will now be recorded.
Joining me today is Nicole Amiel, Director, Eastern Canada, Beattie Tartan. Beattie Tartan is an integrated communication agency that specializes in multi-channel PR campaigns with many offices here in Canada as well as throughout the world. Nicole joins me from Toronto. Thank you for taking the time to join me today, Nicole. Welcome.
Thank you so much, and it's my pleasure to be with you.
Nicole is a 15-year veteran of anything and everything in public relations. She has worked in public relations and marketing communications and events in Montreal, Miami, and Toronto, gaining experiences in all aspects of brand building. Beattie Tartan, along with our agency of record, Alphabet Creative, work hand in hand with us here at RTO9 to broadcast Southeastern Ontario's messages to help garner media attention across the globe. So today, Nicole is joining me to talk about bringing media into our destination on a FAM tour. So I guess if you're ready and willing, we can start, Nicole.
Sounds great. I'm excited.
What is the meaning or the definition of a FAM trip? Can you tell me?
Yeah, absolutely. So like the actual dictionary definition of a FAM trip, or plural FAM trips, originated in Britain in the hospitality industry. So it's a free or low cost trip for media, travel agents, or consultants provided by a travel operator or an airline as a means of promoting their service, AKA a press trip. So the purpose of hosting a media FAM trip is really to garner positive editorial publicity about a destination or organization. And you'll see that, from all types of travel providers, whether it's a tour operator, a hotel chain, or a tourism board, or individual DMOs that represent a destination. They use these types of trips to really educate about their products and services and promote them so that way they can reach a variety of different audiences. Usually it's targeted towards media, but you'll also see sometimes that, you'll hear people using it in terms of, bringing in travel agents and getting them familiarized with the product as well. And when we talk about it being open to media, these are traditional media, but are also encompasses, social media influencers and bloggers, as things have definitely changed in the last decade or so, and these new outlets have proven to be really, really useful for us to getting those messages out.
Excellent. What do you look for when you're vetting media to come to our area on a tour?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, a FAM can be seen as like a free vacation by some of the inexperienced influencers. But we take a really hard look when we're vetting the potential delegate. So you can make sure that you're looking at what types of outlets they work for. If it's their own, what is their engagement? What is their reach? Do they target the audience that you're hoping to attract? From a media standpoint, when we're talking about traditional, we really want to make sure also that they have confirmed coverage. So those are two really key parts of the vetting process. If you're going to go outside of that and talk about, sort of a travel agent, it's more for education purposes. So making sure that the agency is accredited and, is going to be moving forward with pursuing pushing that destination to their clients. So with them, it's a little bit harder, but you just want to make sure that they're an accredited organization.
Excellent. And how do you determine which media outlet then to work with? Like Beattie Tartan, do you have a list that you go to, or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, it's really specific to the client. So for us with RTO9 specifically, it's really important that we know the destination, so we understand what there is to offer, what our targets are, what is the audience that you're trying to attract. Then we're going to decide on a theme and like a top line itinerary, understanding like what is the story that we want told? What do we want people to see and experience? And also taking it further and thinking about what is like the like ultimate story that we want written. So then we look at, you know, those key targets. So of course we're going to look at top tier media. So, you know, national is always good because especially right now when we're looking at domestic tourism, you know, we want to attract people from across the country, but we'll also look at local, you know, or more so, you know, in the surrounding areas, based on, you know, who is coming from where, and really making sure that the audience that they speak to is the audience that we attract. It's really important. Like, we do a lot of research when we're putting together our plans of, you know, even prior to outreach, you know, we really like dive deep. We use a platform called Cision, which is a media database, and it has all of the current like impressions and reach numbers. So that's important. And then, you know, we also have to qualify whether, you know, it's great when they're a staff writer, but we're also sometimes looking at freelancers who write for a number of different publications. But for us, when we're talking to them, we definitely want to make sure that they have a secured assignment. And then the last thing that we want to do is, when we're talking to the media, is we really need to be able to set like reasonable and achievable objectives. And that goes with them, but also with our clients. So, you know, we need you guys to understand that, you know, we might only get 80% of the go-to key achievable objectives, you know, but that's still a good threshold. And like, what are we all okay with? What are we all comfortable with? And we never want to make promises to our clients, nor to the media that we're hosting or influencers that we're hoping that we can't hold up our end of the bargain, you know, because we would expect the same from them.
Absolutely. Is there a contract that needs to be signed between Beattie Tartan and the influencer coming in?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have put together a fam trip form. So that goes out once sort of the details are secured. We send it out to them, and it includes, you know, all of the key information. So what are the dates that they're coming? What is the outlet that they're coming on behalf of? We also get all of their like reach numbers, their social handles. All of that information is a great place to pull that together. And then it also talks about what is the confirmed coverage or coverage expectations. So all of that is in there. They sign it, and we can therefore hold them sort of accountable.
That's excellent. So what would a typical itinerary look like coming into our region? What would you want to ask the influencer to do?
So, I mean, it's a twofold kind of thing. It's not only what they want to do, but it's also what we want them to do. So, you know, when we're putting together that sort of communication with them, we start building out an itinerary, and it's for us to decide what are those experiences, services, products that we want them to focus on. So we'll go through all of it with them to understand that this is like why we're actually inviting them into the area. And then we'll talk with them about, you know, what in return they need to give us. So we'll negotiate oftentimes, you know, so if it's if it's a like a national newspaper, for example, that's coming in, we'll talk about whether that coverage is going to live online as well as in print. You know, what are some, although deadlines and things like that do of course change, we will talk to them about, you know, when is that expected to drop, because it's also important for us that we talk to them about when it's the most useful for us for it to come out and how it's going to target the right audience. So we talk about those things. You know, we're very clear with all of the details right off the top. So whether it's a theme, what's going to be included, you know, we're setting and managing expectations and making sure that there's a really clear line of communication. And sorry. I think I've gone off topic, Steve. Can you remind me exactly what
would you showcase on your fam?
Right. So, I mean, It really depends, right? So we definitely want to showcase experiences that are unique to the region. You know, something that they can't get everywhere, something that's really going to grab the attention of their audience and bringing them out to visit us. So if it's something like a chain, you know, that exists everywhere, that's not really gonna inspire someone's wanderlust, right? So we want to show, you know, the best of the region and why somebody should put, you know, a trip to come and visit on their list of to-dos. So we try to build it out, and depending on the type of writer. So like if somebody is very food specific, then we're really going to focus on those like F&B type stories, showcasing the top restaurants, you know, the culinary diversity of the region. If there's partnerships, especially in the RTO region, between, you know, the farms and local producers with the local restaurants. Those are the type of things that make the region really unique and that you can't find in a lot of the big cities. The same token, if you're bringing out somebody that's a family focused writer, you want to make sure that everything that they're doing on their trip is really family enjoyable. So everyone, you know, all age groups can enjoy and participate. We will also, like if it's a fashion person, we'll take them on a tour of all of your top little boutiques and local shops where they're going to find something they can't find anywhere else. So I think the key here is really, you know, knowing your audience, knowing what the media or the influencer covers, so, and then curating that itinerary so it's really specific, and will really speak to, you know, to not only them but to their audiences.
Let's change it up a bit. Bringing in media journalists versus media influencers. Can you talk a little bit about that? And when you'd bring in a journalist versus an influencer?
Yeah, you know, it kind of, there isn't a clear rule here. So it depends sort of on the message that you want to get across and who your target market is. They both have value. The landscape has just changed. It's just what it is, you know, like obviously the reach of a newspaper or magazine is going to be a little bit broader in the most general circumstances. But that's not always the case. There are some, you know, influencers in Canada, even with like huge worldwide audiences. So, you know, we try to do a balance at this point. It used to be strictly regular media only. And now we really try to do a balance. I tend personally to still lean a little bit to the traditional side, but influencers are so important nowadays. So as long as like you have a good relationship with them, you can trust them and know that they're going to give everything that they've promised to give. And, you know, a lot of them, if you have a great relationship, will go above and beyond. Whereas, you know, a media outlet is very contract bound. You usually will only get one story. But influencers can create all sorts of different content. So you're getting photos and videos and blogs, and stories have proven to be really great. And if you can get them to add them to like a highlight as well, so that content can live for a long time, that's key. But I never rule one or the other out. The one thing I will say though is that media can't charge you unless you're doing like an advertorial campaign. That coverage is generally free, right? So they're coming, you are going to take care of and comp their stay and all of the experiences that they go through, including like their food and bev. Like you can put together a good size budget, but that's definitely more cost effective. Influencers, not only are you comping their trip, but there is always a pay to play aspect on it. It's very rare that you'll get sort of an in-kind trade. So that's something to consider, of course.
Well, thank you for that. Well, what kind of takeaways would you provide a personality coming in? What do you give them?
I mean, it's so nice to be able to do something like that. So it's not a must do, but it's a nice to do. So we always try to put together something that's unique to the region. So, you know, if your region is really known for their wine, having a few nice bottles of wine that not only can they enjoy like after their day out, but that they can maybe take home and that will sit in their wine rack. And every time they see it, they think of you, is a great memory recall trick. The other thing that we'll do is something with utility. So I remember putting together a trip a couple of years ago, and we gave everybody selfie sticks.
Okay.
And it was they were branded from the region, and it was something that they were able to create their content with. So that was really useful on the trip. Or a baggage scale, same thing, branded, that they can use every time they're traveling after. And again, it's a great recall tool. I don't think anybody needs to go crazy. Like I've seen some beautiful gift baskets that have like a huge slew of products, you know, but it's not expected.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us today to talk a little bit about influencers and bringing media into the region. Do you have any other comments or things that we should be aware of that we didn't cover today?
Yeah, I think as much as it's important for them to do their job, it's really important that if you are going to be a host, that you are a good host. You know, so I like to joke that you really need to plan out every detail. Like you are basically a tour guide, a travel expert, a nurse, a timekeeper, sometimes an interpreter, a mom, a hostess, bus keeper, peacekeeper, diplomat, flight attendant, baggage clerk. Like you really need to wear all of the hats because they are really like in your care. So if you are going to bring them out, spend the time with them, you know, build a personal relationship, share a meal with them. That's really a great time for you to, you know, connect and build a longer term relationship with them that, you know, will endear you to them. And then you'll probably see more content come out of it than you even thought you would. You know, a fam trip is a huge investment for time, money, and personnel. So, you know, just make sure that you're giving it all, your all rather, so that way you can really get what's going to be good from it after.
Well, thank you so much, Nicole. This has been great. I look forward to working with you over the next year and a half. So thanks again, and we'll be in touch.
Thanks, Steve.